Let's understand how we can integrate GenAI operators to build an AI powered pipeline. Gather provides a variety of sources like your local file system, cloud stores, CRM systems, etc., from where you can easily read unstructured data in forms like PDFs, emails, images, audios, or structured data in form of JSON, CSV, etc. Now, after you have read the data, if required, you may need to parse or split the data and make it suitable for consumption by GenAI operators. For that, you can use various parsers that can be helpful to parse your input data stream to your desired output format. Now, once you have read the data and parsed it, you will need to integrate it with LLM providers like OpenAI, Azure OpenAI, AWS Bedrock, or Anthropic. Many of these operators are readily available in Gather, and we are continually adding support for many such operators. These operators take system and user prompts that can guide the LLM provider to get the required task done. While adding these operators to your pipeline, you can validate your system and user prompts with sample data to see whether they are generating the desired output. This will help you tweak the prompts more effectively. As we know, the LLMs are non deterministic in nature. What this means is sometimes they may not generate the output in desired format. In those cases, resubmitting the request may generate the right output. For instance, if you want LLM to generate JSON as an output, but it didn't do that in the first try, then our GenAI operator will automatically retry a few times to get the output in JSON format. Now, once you have processed the data and you have all the insights from AI that you were looking for, you can persist these insights through the choice of your storage. It could be a file system, warehouse, RDBMS, or a cloud store, or maybe push them to any other downstream system. You can also create an interactive dashboard on the persisted data while using Gather Analytics. And of course, all this is happening at scale. So if you have hundreds of chats, thousands of PDFs, or millions of tweets, you can easily build an ETL pipeline and feed them to LLM providers to generate insights using Gather's GenAI operators. To sum it up, we have started with a PDF, passed it to a text, fed it to a LLM provider, generated insights, and finally created a dashboard on it. With that, let me describe one of the use cases which we have solved using our GenAI operator. A talent management company reached out to us with a problem statement. Their team receives various CVs in the form of PDFs on a day to day basis. And what they want to do is get the required entities from it, like candidate's email, contact information, experience summary, etc. And for that, they have been using traditional ways to get this information. Now, they want to leverage LLM for this process, and for that, they found our GenAI operators really exciting. Let's see it in action. So, I have pre-created an ETL pipeline for solving the use case. We are reading the data from a REST endpoint here. You can very well read it from any other source like file system, email operator, etc. So let's have a look at the sample data. We have the attachment IDs, the ID of the incoming attachment, attachments in mail, the attachments we received in the mail, the content, the date we received the CV on, from depicting the sender's email address, and similarly, we have various other columns. Now, after we have read the data, we have applied some rules that generated a nested JSON. So here we can see the nested JSON that is generated from it. And here we have the binary data. Using a field flattener, we have flattened the structure of the nested JSON into columns. Then we have used the PDF parser to parse our PDF and convert the binary data into text. We can also split the PDF into pages, section, words, or lines, but for now we have selected do not split. Here we are getting the output in the resume column. Now, dropping the binary data that is no longer needed, filtering out the empty records in the resume, and finally using it into a Gen AI operator. This one is an OpenAI operator, which means it will be leveraging OpenAI as LLM provider. First, we created a connection. where we mentioned our OpenAI key, which will be used to make the calls to OpenAI. We can also test the connection, and once it's available, we can move further with the configuration. Here, in this section, we can specify OpenAI parameters. Like here, I have selected GPT 3.5 Turbo 16K model with maximum tokens 500 and temperature 1. In the prompt section, Gather has provided a handful of prompts with operators like entity extraction, sentiment analysis, summarization, classification. So you can either use them or create your own prompts. These prompts are high level instructions and context for the AI model, guiding its behavior and setting the overall tone or role it should play in generating responses to guide the user how it can be created. Here, we specify the system prompt. In this case, we have provided a prompt to get the entities like names, email, skills, phone number, experience in form of JSON, and here we have provided the specific requirement for those entities. Coming to the user prompt, here we will provide the prompt which will direct the model to extract anything between brackets from the input and will mark it as content, and this will be playing as a placeholder for the AI model. Now this placeholder provided in the prompt can be mapped to columns to replace its value with the placeholder keys. We will now extract inputs from prompt, and here we can see that we got the input column mapped with the input from prompt. The output can be configured to emit data received from input. There are two options. First, mapping the output to a column, or second, parse as JSON. In our case, we are expecting the output in JSON form, hence we will select the second option to move further. As we want to parse the output as JSON, we will now map the output column with the JSON key in response. You can either do it manually or you can use automap for the same. You can also configure throttle control and configure the number of calls or tokens consumed by this operator, which it can make to OpenAI in a minute. This way, you can use a single OpenAI account in multiple operators and not have them throttle out. For instance, we have configured it to make 10 concurrent requests to OpenAI in a minute and making 30 requests consuming 30,000 tokens. We can also enable retry requests to allow automatic resubmission of failed or incomplete requests, enhancing data processing reliability. Here, we have specified the number of times the request will automatically be retried if the response from OpenAI is not in JSON format or does not have all the desired entities. Like here, it will retry twice to get the output in JSON format. If all the keys are important in output, then choose to retry when any output key is missing. If a subset of key is essential in output, then select any of the following keys are missing and specify the essential keys. Like here, I have selected three keys as rest other keys are not essential to me. We can also enable include previous response if we want to send the previous response to the model while retrying so that it can generate a better response. If you wish to provide an additional prompt for retries, you can configure an additional prompt here, and this will only be used while retrying the request. Something like generate output in JSON, or in this case, I have given please provide a valid JSON response, can be used for it. Once all these configurations are done, you can also save your prompt. So you can provide the name like resume, entity, extraction, and save the prompt. So once it's saved, it will be available in the drop down for the further use. Once all this is done, going to the next section. Here, we can validate the output according to our need by selecting either top three or custom to manually select specific rows to be validated, or by selecting random rows to comprehensively validate random rows in the output. So, validating it, We can also see the output and token consumption here. And if we are not satisfied with the result, we can reconfigure the prompts. And if satisfied, we can click on next. Next until done. And finally, can see the output result. Then we are persisting the data into RDS. So in the final output, we got the receiver's email, sender's email, name of applicant, their email ID, their skills, their contact numbers, their experience, basically all the required information in a structured way. And finally, by using Gather Analytics, we have created an interactive dashboard to get the insights of the output generated.